Assalamu alaikum. My name is MD Mojibur Rahman Redoy Akanda, and today we will learn about NAT, Network Address Translation. So before learning NAT, we need to know about some basic terms, and which will make clear the theme of NAT. So we need to know the basic terms. So let's move on the basic terms. So here these are some basic terms which will help us to understand NAT easily. So here is computer networks. So what is computer networks? Computer networks is such things where a group of computer, more computers are connected together to share information between them. The computers are connected together in terms of sharing information among them. This is the actually definition of computer networks. And next we can see the internet. So what is internet? Internet is nothing but the extended version of computer networks. Internet is extended version of computer networks. We have heard lots of time. It's a buzzing word that internet. Everyone is using internet like food today. So what we are watching, the internet is something like that. Computer, different computer from different countries. Those are connected together and share the information between them. There are lots of computers in the world from different parts are internally connected and share information between them. So assume, and let's give an example what actually internet impact in our life and what actually internet do in our life. From here I can send a message to my friend at USA within a second. Within a second we can send a message to my friend who stayed in USA. So this is only possible because of internet. And this internet makes our life, makes the world a global village. So here we can see the user. These are user connected together. And this is a pictorial definition or pictorial view of internet. So now a question can arise on your mind, something like that. How to detect a unique person from that internet? How it will be detected? To detect a unique person from internet, here an address is used which is logical address. Name is IP. IP is used to detect exact person uniquely from the internet. Okay. So IP has also two types, private IP and public IP. So let's talk about private IP. So private IP are those IP which is used to communicate locally. Only local people can communicate by using private IP. But if someone want to communicate with the other world, if someone want to communicate with the internet, or if someone want to browse internet, then they need public IP. So public IP is used to communicate with the internet. So you are here, if you want to communicate with the, if you want to browse internet, if you want to browse Facebook, if you want to browse Google, then you need public IP. By using private IP, you can't communicate with Facebook or Google or some other what it called internet. So to remove the problem, isn't it a problem? You are in an organization, so you have different department. So only by using private IP you can communicate within your department. So to communicate with the other department, to communicate with the other organization, you need public IP. Now our main topic, NAT. So why NAT is used? What is the function of NAT actually? So we have learned that by using private IP you can communicate between us locally. So to remove the problem, here used NAT, which translate your private IP in public IP and give you the opportunity to access internet. So here we can see there is two LAN. This is LAN 1, the private network 1, and this is private network 2. Those are connected together by using private IP. So they can communicate between them without any hesitation, without any problem. But when they try to communicate with the internet, or when this private network is trying to communicate with this private network or this public server, then they need public IP. So by using NAT, here we can see it's containing a private IP, but when it's come to the NAT, I mean the router, let's give you an elaboration about NAT. That's something like that. In your router, NAT feature is included by default. In every router, if you call it Cisco, if you call it MikroTik, then the router the NAT function is already included, but you have to set it up. You need to set the NAT, which will help you to communicate your private network with internet. So here we can see it. It's containing a private IP, but when it comes to the router, then this private IP is translating into this public IP and get an opportunity and get a facility to communicate with the internet, and he can browse everything. So how private IP is translated into public, here is a pictorial elaboration. I am going to talk about it and I am going to explain the pictorial elaboration. So here in private network, this is a private network in the cloud sign. It's a private network, it's a private user containing an IP, containing this IP. But so we know, if we want to send a data to our friend, if we want to send our data or message to other person, then the data sent in the form of packet. So we'll talk about packet. Actually the data sent by signal, physical signal, but in network layer it's sent there as a packet. So in packet, here we can see when this packet is sending to this H5, I mean this destination address, then here source address is this private network address or private host address, and destination address is this public IP's address. So when this packet is sending to the router, then this source address is translated. Here we can see in private corresponding a private address, a public IP address is assigned. So generally here this private address is translated into this public address, and this new packet is become something like that. The source address is now this new public IP address, and the destination address is this address. I mean which packet? I mean the packet before router was different. Here source was this private IP's address, but when it passed the router, it has been translated. I mean it is translated, and it's now new source address is public IP's address, and destination remains same. So this is how a private network host is communicating with public network. And if a public network sent a packet to private one, the same thing happened. Like on that occasion, if this person is trying to send a packet to this person, then source address is this person's address, and destination address is this router public IP address corresponding to the private IP. So when this user is trying to send a packet to this user, the same thing happened, and here the source address is this user's address, and the destination address is the router public IP's address of corresponding this private IP address. So we can see there the source address is here this user's address, and the destination address is the public IP's address. But when the packet is come to the router, it changes the public IP into this private IP. So NAT has 3 types: static NAT, dynamic NAT, and PAT. So let's move on those things. Let's move on the types. So first, static NAT. here for every private IP, corresponding public IP is used. I mean, for every net, here we can see the different two hosts in private network. So for these two IP, different public IP correspondingly is used here, and this is translated when this user is trying to communicate internet. So when they're trying to communicate with internet, then this table is used, and here the private IP is translated into public IP. So this is how actually static network. This is actually static. For every different IP, for this IP, public IP is assigned, and for this IP, different public IP is assigned. So if there is 10 user, then for 10 user, there need 10 public IP, and this is static net. Okay. So in dynamic net, the things like different. Something like that. Assume there are 50 hosts on your private network, and if you assign 50 public IP, then it will be high costly in some case, because the public IP is not free as private IP. You have to buy the public IP. You have to buy public IP. So if you want to assign different public IP for every host on your private network, then it will be costly. So on that occasion, a different technique is introduced, and this is dynamic net. In dynamic net, a pool is created with a range of IP, public IP. So something like assume, or here is a pictorial example there. There is a 3 host. For the 3 host, a pool is created with 2 IP range. So here we can see in the list, in the network address table, there is a 3 private IP. But in public IP table, a pool is created with 2 IP. In that case, when a host is trying to communicate with internet, then it take any of IP, any public IP from that pool. This is something like that. There is a problem also I have faced by myself, something like that. When the first host is trying to communicate internet by using one IP, in the second time the IP will be changed. On that occasion, lots of server or lots of organization, as I have faced by Shopify, that when I have tried by using dynamic IP on my laptop, then they block me because of using different IP or dynamic IP. To remove such kind of problem, you need to use different IP. But the problem what I have told is not too much, not too much. The rate of such problem is very lower. Now PAT, port address translation. This is really very impressive. And here a different technique is used. And for every IP, one public IP is used, but with different port. So here we can see there is 2 hosts, and 2 hosts has 2 different public IP. Same public IP, but at the last of the public IP, different port is used. Different port is used. So in NAT, for every private IP, a single public IP is used, but at the last of public IP, a different port is used. Here we can see this is a private IP, this is a private IP, but the same public IP, but at the last time the port is different. So with a different port, you can use a public IP to translate lots of private IP. So this is a feature of PAT, port address translation. Thank you so much for watching my lecture. Allah Hafiz.